Welcome back. So starting out the week, I'm doing the final fitment on the little parachute cover door, as you can see there, and it sort of fits in between the engine cowling and the fuselage. So I've had to create a new flange in underneath there because we just didn't have enough flange space. So that's it there with the clecos on it, and it's actually double, sort of there's a two pieces there sort of thickening that up. So that's being bonded into place, and that gives us a place to glue the parachute, but also glue the parachute door, but also mount the back of the cowling. And as you can see, we've got the wings off. So this is so Jeff can work on the underside of them, and then they'll be ready for their last round of primer. And moving on to the foreplane. So last look in here now. Everything's all ready to go, so this is just basically a last look before it gets closed out. And Jeff's just getting the last things sorted out here, actually just making sure that he can connect the antenna there, the nav antenna, making sure there's enough line pulled through. And so this is what it looks like in there. Mainly this videos, I like doing these last look videos. It gives us a chance to sort of say, oh, that's what's in there. If we ever have to go back and try and understand how something's working or not working, or how something fits, we've got a good video catalog of what's inside of all the different structures that have been closed out. So that's what this video is for, and you can see there the pitot tube and the heater wiring and the main lines there for the pitot and the angle of attack lines, and then the antenna line there. But a lot of that stuff in the middle is visible, obviously, because that's through the nose. And there's a bell crank, and of course, we have the access panels to access those. So that's pretty much it. And then this is the one skin there, the underside there, that has the nav antenna built into it. And I've mentioned this before, but that's a bit of fiberglass window there in between the carbon fiber that should allow the signal to be received there by the nav antenna. But we'll see. I guess that's how you're supposed to do it. And so this is Devin and Jeff just closing it out. They've got the high sole there on all the ribs, and they need to slide the skin there over those hinge arms there for the elevator, and then bring it down also over the pitot tube mast on the other side there. That's what Jeff's going around there to get that sorted out. And once it's slid down over that, it's ready to be sort of squashed in on the high sole. And in this case, he's riveting this skin into place there just to hold it all. So, and then you'll see later on the that rear edge there will get clamped and bonded separately. And here's Devin just prepping up the doors. So the doors are off, as you can see. So this is so Jeff can bodywork those as well. Much easier to do them on a level surface than try and do them on the aircraft. And I redid that that layup there on the inside where it had moved. So after I did the one on the outside last week, I came back and did the one on the inside. And this is the one on the other side, which is already done. So that's basically on both sides. And this is rock solid now. That thing is so strong, it's crazy. I didn't even think it would be that strong, but I'm not worried at all about any sort of airspeed, knocking that thing off. So here it is. There's the foreplane. All both skins now bonded on, and a bunch of rivets on the leading edge there to hold everything in place. And of course, that leading edge seam there will get a tape seal over the top of it. After the rivets have been all drilled out, and then it'll get its usual bit of microfill there to finish it off. So now we're onto the nose gear doors, and for those keeping track, you've already seen the parachute cover door, you've seen the main cabin doors, you've seen the two main gear doors as well. Now you're looking at the nose gear doors, so there's lots of doors in this one. Anyway, so what I'm doing here is just creating a little indent in the bottom side of these two doors, and what this is going to do is allow us to have a little bit more clearance between the tire and the doors when the gear is retracted. And this way, if for some reason the gear, the nose gear, because it actually has a little bit of play in it right now, and that the nose gear can sort of move up and down a little bit when it's retracted, and I'm worried about it sort of bumping into the doors and then potentially bumping them open. So this is just going to give us a little bit more clearance. So I'll have about 1 inch of clearance between the doors and the tire. So anyway, just sort of cut that out there with a right angle on cutting wheel, and then just using one of these burring tools there, deburring tools, to just smooth the foam out a little bit, and then later on you'll see doing a layup over that. And the next up is the strake extensions that attach to the main doors. And what I needed to do here is just basically cut out a little section off of the bottom part of it, because when the door opens, it would hit the little sort of extension that we put on the strake. So I've just marked that there where I'm cutting it, and then I remembered, I need to follow my own advice and put a nice line of tape there where I'm cutting, instead of just looking at the line that I marked, that I scribed on there. It's much easier to see the tape than it is to see a scribed line when dust starts flying. So just cutting off, I think it was about less than 1/2 inch. And what this allows it is that when the door opens, that bottom edge of this thing is not going to catch on the sort of little extension that's on the strake itself, which was kind of an afterthought. I ended up putting that in as we were sort of doing the molds and stuff, and it wasn't in the original design. And of course, like anything, if you come and you think about, I was just going to add that at the last minute, there's always something that you've forgotten that you've got to come back and redo. So this is again something that needs to be just sort of done ahead of time, and not sort of at the end like we're doing now. There's a lot of the things that I'm doing now are little fixes and little things that were because of changes in the design, or just things that sort of happened later or weren't even complete in the design. And that's what's keeping me busy with the nose gear doors and the main gear doors. All these things were sort of half designed or thought about, but I never had time to fully flesh them out. So you just got to come back and do it all at the end, I guess. And so this is what the two look like now that they've had that cutout in there. So now the door can lift up without it catching on that thing, and you'll see that sort of later on. I could show it to you, but I forgot to get some video to sort of demonstrate it. Anyway, and then this is what they look like just sitting on the doors there. So yeah, they'll get bonded on at the last minute once Jeff's done all the floating of those doors to get them all nice and smooth. And continuing on the door theme, so this is the nose hatch, which is a door, I guess. And so what happened here was, when the foreplane was increased in size from the design, the line there for the door didn't match up with the very leading edge of the foreplane anymore. So this was basically the cutout from that door, and you can see there's where the previous foreplane was. So the new one was enlarged but also moved forward. So what needed to happen here is I need to cut off a little piece of this cutout there and bond that on to the fuselage. And so this is the one from the other side, and that's what that's going to look like. So the door will sort of come down, and ultimately for production, we could just fix the shape of this and get it sorted out so they don't all have to have this sort of treatment on there. The cut line really needs to match the leading edge of the foreplane. And then keeping on with the door theme, these are the baggage doors, so just moving on door one after the other. So what I'm doing here is just making a little bit of an indentation there in the core for where this hinge is going to be, because this particular one, or both of them, needed just a little spot there for the hinge to live. So that's basically the door there. And you see what I've done is I've used the initial set of hinges that I created for the nose gear doors, and I've just put new little things on there, little tabs to mount to the baggage door itself. And you see I've got my little straight rod there to keep the hinges in alignment. So that's basically going to sit in there like that, and then those other bits of the hinge will bond to the inside of the fuselage, and then ultimately that rod will get replaced with some hardware, some bolts to hold the door on. So that's how that's all going to work there. And you'll see here, there's the door kind of just clamped in place, and then down in here I've got the hinges setting there, and I've used some 5-minute epoxy there just to hold them in place, because I need to do a test to make sure that the doors are going to open correctly without sort of hitting anything, because the way they open, the rear side comes out but the back side goes in, and you'll see that in a little bit. And keeping with the door theme, so back to the main cabin doors, the ones we all love or love to hate. So here's Jeff with putting the micro mix on there and basically floating the whole door. So when I put the skins on that door, the skins weren't thick at all, they weren't cored at all, because we came and cored them back later on. And then ultimately in bonding them on to the frame, I had to rivet them on and to hold them in place. And of course that created all sorts of ups and downs there, and also below the edge of the window, there wasn't any way of really fastening that, so I just used weights on there, and that created a bunch of ups and downs as well. So just more pain with the doors. Anyway, here's the baggage doors, and so this is the 5 minutes sort of dried up now, or cured. So that's what the door looks like open, and I designed it so it would hang down like that and not sort of hid underneath the wing. But anyway, so that's kind of how it's going to work. And there's the nose gear doors again. So what I'm doing here is just doing that little quick layup there, just 2 layers of the medium ply carbon that we have, just to close out those little indentations I made for where the tire is going to live. So yeah, just wetting it down with the resin, and like you've seen before a number of different times, like in the last episode with all the different layups I did there. So as I said before, lots of little jobs to finish off now, but we're getting pretty close. My list now is just really finishing off the door retraction mechanism for the nose gear doors, and also the one for the main gear doors, and you'll see that coming up. And then Jeff's work is just getting all the different things all sanded up, and primed, and that's what it looks like with those two closed out now, or laid up and then peel plied. And then this was a special one that I had to do. If you're looking carefully in the older video, there was a couple of chips in the front of the fuselage there where the hatch was, and so the best way to fix that was to just do a kind of like a sandwich layup around both sides of this, from the inside and the outside, and then we can basically rebuild that edge there and make it solid, because it didn't have any carbon in it. It was just a bunch of resin and Cabasil, so it wasn't strong, and that's why it chipped. And there's the doors after Jeff has floated those, so looking good, and they can get on and sand those now. That won't take long. And then lastly, as we're finishing off the day today, Jeff and Devin there just put the high sole in underneath that trailing edge there of the foreplane, because it's still quite flexible, and just using a couple of bits of aluminum L channel there to clamp the two together and hold it in place for it to set up. So tomorrow morning they'll be able to do the other side, and then we'll be reassembling the oven and post-curing the foreplane. So that's our update for the first half of this week, and thanks again for watching, and tune in again on Saturday and see how the rest of the week plays out.